Every club. Every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Daily Manchester United here on what would be a wildcard Wednesday. We've got plenty of things to talk about and it's going to be reviews and previews until your ears bleed. You'll have so many previews. You'll be telling us no more previews. But yeah, there's two matches this week to catch up with and preview. And I've got two distinguished gentlemen to help me with that. I have Sam. Sam, hello.
Hello, Kieran. All good.
And Toluwa. Welcome, Toluwa.
What's up, lads? How you doing?
We'll touch quickly on the City game. Obviously, you may have heard Cormac was totally solo. Did a great job, by the way, Cormac, in discussing that one and dissecting that one in a game where, it's not going to make the record books, but Sam, that's a missed opportunity. We could have had 3 points there.
Yeah, as you said, it wasn't the most entertaining game, but on the face of it, a draw against City, not a bad result. As you said, we had a few half chances. We created some chances in front of goal, which maybe we should have done better with. But I thought defensively we were pretty solid. City were very, very poor. I think it was it played into our hands sort of how bad City were. I think the game was there for City to sort of go for it, and it was on, and the onus was sort of on City to sort of go and try and get a result, because I think we were just sitting deep and playing on the counter-attack, and I think the way they played suited us down to a T, to be honest. I think we defended really well. We had a few very good tackles. Casemiro was very good, I thought, again. But overall, not the most entertaining game you'll ever see, but a draw going into obviously a massive game on Thursday night isn't the worst result in the world.
No, not particularly. It's a case of what might have been, as you said, Sam, 0-0 against City at the early stages of this season. We would have, we're biting your hand off for a result like that. But Toluwa, it does kind of feel like we go into that game and we did play like we were the better side, and it's trying to decipher whether it was a good Man United side or a poor Man City side. And I feel like I'm leaning more towards it was a poor City showing.
Yeah, I definitely have to echo what you guys are saying. I think the game was there for the taking for United, I think, especially in the first half with some of the moments with Garnacho. I thought those are the moments that could have set us apart. Like you guys said, City really had, the impetus to try and go forward. And it was really on them to take the game by the scruff of the neck. But for some reason, they just couldn't. They couldn't do it. And I think that was actually testament to, fair play from Amorim and the system that he's trying to implement. I feel like it's starting to really come together. In the Premier League, it seems like the remaining fixtures are kind of like a training match. Each one is just getting used to the tactic, because realistically, there's nothing to fight for in the league anyway. I like the style of play. I like there was a decent amount of times in that game where I thought we played out from the back really well, and I feel like we haven't been able to do that consistently in years. Like we've never really been able to play out from the back when teams are pressing high. We've always given the ball away. And finally, I'm starting to see, some real good passages of play, and things are starting to click. Once we finally get that end product from our strikers, which we've been lacking so much this season, I feel like, we will start to, make progress and look upwards. But I think right now, we really have to just focus on each game getting better and trying our best to score. I think that's one of the main things that we struggle with, especially against teams that are on paper better than us, so. But once again, a good result, I think, just in terms of finishing out the season. It's better to draw, in my opinion, at this point than to lose. I think it shows that we're making progress.
I think as well that the team, after the match, Roy Keane basically displaying his ire of the team, basically saying it's not good enough. What is this? Gary Neville also giving his criticisms on, I think it was Monday Night Football, not long after that, with Amorim saying that Gary Neville's criticism is fair and, we have to accept it, was his quote. We're coming into the end of the season. He said nothing can save the season. We're of the mentality, as you said, Toluwa, these are training matches now, essentially, until the end of the season, and we've got to turn up for Europa League. But, what is this criticism deserved to a point where the players may have just sort of sacked off the season? I can't really tell.
I don't know. I feel like with Gary Neville and the former legends of the club, I feel like earlier on when it was Mourinho and Solskjaer, and we had players like Pogba and Ronaldo and those type of players, I feel like the criticism was very warranted for sure. I think now, I mean, we've been in this situation for the entire season. This is nothing new. The players aren't just going to overnight start playing better. The criticism is fair, but I think to a point, because, right now, this is clearly not the best United squad we've had in the past few seasons. We're trying to figure it out. I think realistically, they're obviously not going to listen to me, but definitely just take a step back on criticizing the players. I think the season is already pretty much at the rock bottom. I don't think it could get any worse. So we're just really, I mean, it definitely can with, not winning Europa, but even then it's like, I don't think that really makes or breaks, Amorim, or it definitely makes or breaks a lot of the players. I think at the end of this season, it's definitely going to be, we're shipping out a lot of players and trying to rebuild. So I think until then, the criticism can kind of die down a little bit. I don't know what they're expecting, especially against Manchester City, who also haven't been that great. Amorim said in a press conference, he was basically like, we're not that good. Man City's not that good. So the match wasn't that good. And I kind of agreed to that sentiment because, I mean, at this point, it's a struggling United versus a struggling City. I don't know what more they were expecting. But like I said, if Garnacho had scored from that early chance, then maybe everything would be a bit different.
And that's going to be a key word. Cormac on the review episode that went up straight after the match, essentially, he was the lowest rated player for Cormac, 4 out of 10. I won't spoil too much more, but Sam, it seems like we're with the Garnacho issue here. He's got, I think it was 1 goal in his last 20 odd games. I mean, that's a worrying sign for a young winger. And in his last 2 or 3 games, it's been clear that he's getting in those positions, but it just seems like 7, 8 out of 10 times he's making the wrong decision.
Yeah, I mean, the past couple of weeks have been a worry in terms of Garnacho. I mean, we have a problem at the minute which I'm worried about, where defensively we are quite solid. I think even in that Forest game after we conceded, we were quite defensively solid, and then obviously now a clean sheet against City. But it's just going forward, I just feel our those front three of Garnacho, Højlund, Zercher, I don't think either one of them are good enough to start, but we have no other options at this moment in time. And in terms of Garnacho, I just think there's still a sort of immaturity in his game in terms of when he gets in positions, maybe can he lay it off to a teammate instead of shooting? I mean, the amount of shots he's had these past couple of weeks have just been so frustrating. And I think now, he's been in this senior squad quite a few years now, you would think he would start to sort of cement his place in the starting 11, and that immaturity is out of his game. And obviously he's still very young, but you're looking at him and going, in the summer we're probably going to need another winger. And you see Ahmad, he came in basically his breakout season this season, and you look at him and go, okay, he's an essential part of what we're doing for next season. And then you look on the left hand side and Garnacho and go, you know what, maybe we bring someone else in for him. So yeah, frustrating times for Garnacho, but we'll see maybe what Almiron can do. Maybe he brings in Mason Mount, because obviously he got some minutes again against City. But yeah, we'll see in the next couple of weeks whether Almiron sort of has a word with him, and we'll go from there. But yeah, big game on Thursday, and see if we can get a good performance out of him.
Absolutely. And speaking of big performances, we'll have a little bit of a quick break. When we come back, it's time to preview the Europa League game against Olympique Lyon. We'll be back after this.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Your body is unique. And Global Sports Podcast Network has partnered with Bioniq, the world's most personalised supplements. Bioniq provide 100% tailor-made supplements designed to deliver precisely what your body needs at exactly the right level to optimise your health. No guessing. So click the link in the show notes. Use the code GSPN2025 for 40% off your first month's subscription. Bioniq. Don't settle for off-the-shelf solutions made for just anybody. Get what's right for you right now.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
8 o'clock in the evening on Thursday on TNT Sports 1 HD. We will have, of course, our away trip to Olympique Lyon for the first leg of the quarterfinals of the Europa League. And, well, it was a convincing display in the end in our last tie. It took us the second leg to do it, but we got there in the end. And I just have to say now, Sam, we're into the last 8 of this competition, a competition that for all United fans, we're hedging our bets on this being, the one trophy we can win. Whether we can or not is going to be another question. But how do you rate our chances, first leg being away from home?
Yeah, and again, like Sociedad, it'll be a very tough game, especially away from home. Lyon fifth in Ligue 1 this year, so a pretty decent side. But I think it's very important and that we go away at Lyon, we get a decent result that we can at least take back to Old Trafford for next week. And yeah, at this stage of the competition, any team we face now is going to be very tough, especially away from home. I know. We potentially in the semi-finals, it could be Atletico Bilbao, which again will be a very, very tough sort of fixture. But yeah, away from home to Lyon, it will be very tough. But we need to just stay in the game, at least get a draw or a win out of it, and bring it back to Old Trafford, and hopefully do what as you said, what we did to Sociedad, and sort of kill the tie off at Old Trafford.
Yeah, ever since the international break, we've we haven't scored since the resumption of the international break in all competitions, Toluwa. What has to change in that away leg at Olympique Lyonnais? Because, after an international break, before then, we were in good form, but we've struggled to get going again after it.
Yeah, I think the players just kind of have to basically. The easiest thing to say is they have to score. I mean, like, it's their job. The strikers, I mean, it's as simple as that. We have creative maestros like Bruno on the pitch that can pretty much unlock any defense at will. And for some reason, our strikers can't finish. Obviously, that's the most obvious thing to say. I think the players need to definitely relax in front of goal. There's so much pressure on them to score as it is, from the fans, from the coaches and staff, probably from themselves. I think in a game like this, going to Lyon, tough atmosphere. It's definitely going to be a tough game. They're definitely going to need to, just kind of relax, have some confidence in themselves. I feel like confidence is very, very important, especially for some of these United players who, let's be real, have kind of a fragile mentality. They can break at any moment if things aren't going our way. And I think in a game like this against Lyon, they're going to frustrate us. They have a lot of players that definitely will hold on to the ball, like to keep possession, like to make us run around, tire us out. I think it's going to be one of those games, kind of like the Liverpool game in Manchester City, where we have to be disciplined, maybe not take too many risks, but still try to be as clinical as we can on the counter. We have the tools to do it. I feel like our squad is very capable of beating this Lyon team. And correct me if I'm wrong, I think United is still unbeaten in the Europa League this season. I don't think they've lost a single game. So, we have to take that confidence and use that as a kind of like an engine in this Lyon game.
I mean, we're coming up against some, I would say Premier League good names there. We're coming up against Nemanja Matic again. I didn't think I'd ever be saying that again. But also Alexandre Lacazette, also obviously a very talented striker. Didn't quite work for him the way Arsenal wanted it to whilst he was at the club. But I think one of the last times we faced Lyon was when Benzema was rising up the ranks. It's been that long since we've actually faced Lyon in sort of any European competition that, there's Nemanja Matic. It's going to be bittersweet to see him play for the other side because, Sam, I don't know if you agree, I thought he did a decent job and helped us win a couple of trophies along the way as well.
Yeah, he was very solid for United. And as you said, we're coming up against some experienced Premier League players. Andre Lacazette, you've got Maitland-Niles as well. So Lyon are a very solid side. I think that they're a decent side. They've got decent players. I mean, as Toluwa said, we are expected to win this game, and I think we should sort of progress to the semi-finals. I think when we start to, as I said, when we start to face the likes of Atletico Bilbao, who are flying at the minute in La Liga, and the finals in Bilbao, so that'll be a tougher game. But I think, yeah, we're expected to beat Lyon, although as we've alluded to, it's not going to be an easy game, especially away from home. The atmosphere the experienced sort of veterans now with Lacazette and Matic going to make it a hard night for us. But hopefully we can, as Toluwa alluded to, stay disciplined. We're going to expect obviously to sit deep and play on the counter, and the worry I just have is going forward. I just think we are going to need to start scoring goals eventually if we're going to start to see progress. I mean, we've got Newcastle, which we'll come on to in the Premier League away from home, which again is a very tough game. So yeah, I think we're going to start to see. We're going to need to start to see more from our attack in the closing stages of the season. But hopefully, as I've said, we can get a decent result on Thursday and take it to Old Trafford in the week after.
Yeah, and one more Premier League talent in that Lyon side, Jordan Veretout, formerly of Aston Villa, I believe. You might have to, yeah, I've got nods of approval, so I'm absolutely correct. And a player who, although he's 21, seems to have been around for at least a decade, and Rayan Cherki, who is, he's a very, very dangerous player, a very tricky winger to actually stop. So the question I have to ask before we move on to Newcastle, Toluwa, is how do we stop Lyon at their place?
Yeah, I think we have to play to our strengths. Obviously, right now, our strength is not really going forward. It's definitely the structure in our back line. I think Mazraoui has obviously really been a key player this season. I think he'll be one to step up again and kind of interrupt Lyon's passing play. I think definitely the midfield battle is key. You mentioned Nemanja Matic in that midfield. I'm sure Maitland-Niles will sometimes come in and help in the midfield. It's going to be really key for whoever's there, if it's Ugarte or if it's Casemiro, to really get stuck in. A lot of times this season I saw with our two-man midfield, we always used to get overrun, in the midfield. Teams would be able to just bypass us like it's nothing. That can't happen in this game, especially because the man you mentioned, Cherki, you can't leave that guy alone. Like, he might not be the most physical, but his technique is otherworldly. And players like that are so dangerous in a game like this, where it only takes one moment for the opposition to score. So definitely just try and be as solid as possible in the back line. Be as progressive as possible in our midfield as well, because we can't just win the ball back and not play it to our best players. We have to get it to our front line as well.
And hopefully that's where Bruno comes in and plays those balls in. Final question from you both for Olympique Lyon. Toluwa, score prediction?
I'm going to go United 2-1.
Oh, I love it. Love it. Love the optimism, Sam.
I'm actually going to go with another 0-0, I think, to be honest. I think, again, we're going to be defensively solid but not quite get that goal. And to be honest, I'd take a 0-0 going into next week.
I'm going to go 1-1. I think there'll be goals. So I think if we can stay undefeated, especially away from home, bring the fixture to Old Trafford, I think it's anybody's game. But I hope it's going to be a good game for us anyway. We've got one more game to preview, and that's the game against Newcastle on Sunday. We'll be back after this.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Here at the Global Sports Podcast Network, we spent a lot of time selecting our delivery platform. Zencastr came out the clear winner. With 4K video recording from your phone and AI editing, it's super easy to start a podcast that sounds great and is delivered efficiently. If you're ready to start your podcast, check out the link in the show description to learn more about Zencastr.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
There's something about fifths this week. We face fifth in Liga, in the Europa League. We then face fifth in the Premier League in Newcastle United. Obviously, they're fifth in the table. They're chasing Champions League, at least to try and beat off the likes of Nottingham Forest and Chelsea and Manchester City and Aston Villa, whilst we're hoping to try and catch up to the likes of Brentford, Crystal Palace and Bournemouth towards the tail end of the season, and hope we can get a top half finish. Toluwa, I saw some very, very promising signs from Newcastle. I mean, they absolutely battered Leicester. And if we're not careful, they could absolutely batter us. They've got some quality players on their side.
Yeah, I'm worried for this game against Newcastle just because they seem to be in the form of their life. Definitely winning the Carabao Cup was a huge boost in morale. It's definitely propelled a lot of those players that we didn't think were world beaters. They've definitely propelled them into the next level, a different category. Isak has been one of the best players of this season. There's a couple players in the Newcastle team that are actually really underrated. Obviously, I love Joel Linton. I think his profile in the Premier League is perfect for a central midfielder. Just so big, so strong, fast, reads the game really well. But there's another player that's been out of his mind, and it's Jacob Murphy. And when players like that are in the form of their life, that's scary, especially when coming up against, a United team that's kind of weak. I would say in the past 5 games, obviously Newcastle I think they're unbeaten in the last 5. They won their last 4. United haven't been bad. They've only lost 1 game in their past 5 games. So it's one of those where United could possibly nick a result, but I don't know. I'm scared for this Newcastle team because they're buzzing right now.
Yeah, I mean, Jacob Murphy getting that goal, that bizarre goal that from the halfway line off the bar, and then Jacob Murphy's there to sweep up. He always scores the weird goals, but he's always there to score them. And, it reminds me of a certain Javier Hernandez who managed to get a couple of weird goals in his time for Manchester United. But, Isak, who's got back-to-back 20-plus goal seasons in the Premier League. You've got Harvey Barnes, who on his day is absolutely fantastic. A midfield of Bruno, the other one, Guimaraes, Tonali, who, when he gets on the score sheet, it's normally a really good goal. That's definitely a cross. I'm going to put that out there for Sandro now. Joe Linton as well. I mean, Sam, this is a side, as Toluwa has said, that if you sleep on this side, they will absolutely punish you.
Yeah, I mean, as we've said, they're flying right now. 4 wins out of the last 4, and obviously one of those wins was in the cup final, which they're still probably still got a hangover from, but they're not playing like they've got a hangover from it because, as you said, they battered Leicester. Granted, it's a poor Leicester side, but they're basically doing what we're dreaming of right now, and that's goals, and everyone's chipping in with them. It seems like you get Harvey Barnes, obviously Isak's having an amazing season. Jacob Murphy grabbed 2 against Leicester. So they're dangerous, and St James's Park is never a nice place to go, and especially for United, we don't have a great record there. I am worried for this game, especially if it doesn't go our way on Thursday night, and then we play Newcastle away, and then we've got the second leg as well. So I do feel like if we get a poor result at St James's Park, it might set us up for a tough night on Thursday back at Old Trafford for that massively important game in the second leg. But yeah, Newcastle are absolutely flying right now, and even their midfield, as we've said, of Bruno, Guimaraes, Joelinton and Tonali. I mean, on paper, that's an unbelievable midfield. I mean, we'd sort of dream for any one of them, to be honest. And then Tonali, I mean, even he's chipping in with the goals as well, with that absolute worldie, probably goal of the season right now against Brentford the other week. So, yeah, absolutely flying. It's gonna be a tough game on Sunday as well.
Yeah, and we're coming up against everyone's favourite fantasy football league defender, goal-scoring defender, in Fabian Schär, who always manages to pick up a goal when everyone least expects it, and always scores in those big games. It's really annoying. So hopefully we can keep him quiet. It's not even from like a header from a corner. It's normally he's managed to dribble his way through. So yeah, he could be one to watch out for. Toluwa, is there anyone else in mind in Newcastle where if you're in that dressing room, you're thinking you are not to give him a yard of pace, not even half a yard?
Funny enough, maybe not necessarily with the ball at his feet, but definitely on set pieces, I'm worried for Dan Burn because we're a poor team on set pieces. I feel like teams definitely target us on the corner kicks, and he's like 6'7". I mean, I don't think there's a single player that can really match up to him besides Harry Maguire, and I don't know if he's going to be fit For Thursday, I'm not entirely sure because he came off a bit early in the City game. So we have to definitely watch out for that. But he's probably our best aerial defender. And if he's not available, then we're definitely in a world of trouble.
Yeah, I think De Ligt has been improving that. I think De Ligt is much more of a technical defender where he's able to read the play and put the tackle in. Lenny Yoro has been wonderful at that. But yes, you're right. From set pieces, we are vulnerable. And this Newcastle side have Dan Burn and Fabian Schär, who are goal-scoring centre-backs, it seems. So, yeah, always going to be a worry about that. Anyone in particular you would like to highlight, Sam? For good or bad?
I just wanted to sort of follow on from that point in terms of I saw a stat for the City game. We've actually conceded the most corners in all of the Premier League in every team. So obviously that's a very concerning stat, especially when you're coming up against a massive side in Newcastle. And Dan Burn, as Toluwa said, is always a threat. Obviously got that goal in the cup final off a corner as well. And then obviously you're just looking at the likes of, as we've said, Isak. I mean, all season he's been bagging the goals in for fun. Another one who scored in that cup final and probably is looking like he's on his way for a big move in the summer, definitely for a high price tag. I mean, we've said we've been defensively solid in the past couple of weeks, but this is going to be a real test. It really is, when we are definitely just going to sit deep and play on the counter attack. And I really do think that this is the game that I mentioned before. These are the types of games where we need to score, because if we don't, I think the opposition are going to inevitably score. So as much as we love to keep clean sheets and we've been defensively solid recently, I think against the Newcastle side who have been bagging the goals, I think at least one goal is inevitable. So I feel like our attack definitely needs to sort of show up on Sunday.
So what would your scoreline prediction be then, Sam, against Newcastle?
Oh, you've put me on the spot now.
I have.
I want to say optimistic, but I'm not too sure, to be honest. Probably I'm gonna go with, I feel like we could get battered, to be honest. I'll go 2-0. I'll go 2-0 Newcastle. So
Sam's predicting us not to score a goal this week.
No.
Bold call, Sam. Let's see if it pays off. Toluwa, give us some optimism to end this one.
Yeah, I mean, based off the last time we played Newcastle, we got played out the park. But I think this is a different encounter. I think the players are gelling a little bit better. I'm actually going to go for a draw. I think a 1-1 result could be on the cards.
Yeah, I'm sort of leaning towards a draw rather than a loss. It's at St James's Park. It's going to be a tough. I mean, St James's Park, wonderful stadium, one of the only Premier League stadiums I've actually been to. It's amazing. So, and they know how to get an atmosphere going as well. And they're buoyed by that recent form. They're still buoyed by that League Cup victory, and rightly so. They're going to be a tough side to beat. But I reckon I'm going to agree with Toluwa. I think it's going to be 1-1. We'll see what happens. And Toluwa and I are an optimistic bunch of people. We're hoping United will score. Sam's a bit of a pessimist. No goals in the week, Sam. Unbelievable. Well, thank you so much for... Oh, go on, Sam.
No, yeah, I was just going to say, not this week, I don't think. I think we might get a result on Thursday, but unfortunately, Newcastle are a bit of a better side than Lyon, I believe. So, yeah, sorry about that, boys.
Well, you know what? It's fine. I will forgive you, Sam, as I suppose we have to. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in and listening to the Daily Manchester United. If you're listening on Apple or on Spotify and you'd prefer to watch your podcast episodes, well, now you can. We've got our own YouTube channel. It's at GSPN Daily Man United Podcast. I know, long title, but it's memorable that way, you see. And then when you get there, you can watch our lovely episodes and watch our faces as, I don't know, is that a fate worse than a goalless week? Ask Sam. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you in a few short while where we have the crossover with Newcastle tomorrow. You won't want to miss that. In the meantime, take care. Have a great rest of your day.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.